I want to tell you about the man this whole valley believes is poor. That man is me. I am 86. I wear the same 3 shirts I have owned for 20 years, and anyone who saw me would feel sorry for the old fellow. Let them. Why would a man ever choose to be pitied? Tonight alone I'm going to say out loud what I have never told a living soul. There are 7 reasons I let this whole town believe I am poor. 7 quiet confessions, and I have never once been ashamed of a single one. So pull your chair near the fire and let an old man tell you the truth before the light goes down. I'm not going to tell you I hoard my money like a frightened squirrel. I am not going to tell you the world is full of thieves. That is a cold way to live, and I have never lived cold. And I will hand you no advice, for I was never a banker. What if being thought poor bought me things no rich man in this valley will ever hold? That is what these 7 confessions are. My grandfather told me a thing once, down by the water when I was a boy. He crouched by the creek where the water shouted over the rocks, all foam and hurry, and said, "That stream makes all that noise because it has nothing underneath it." Then he walked me to where the river ran wide and deep and green, moving without a sound. Remember this, boy. The deepest river makes the least sound. The full thing never needs to announce itself. Only the empty thing can never stop. He was handing me the whole shape of my life, and all 7 of my confessions hang from that one sentence like coats on a single nail. So let me give you the first. The first confession is this: a quiet pocket keeps the peace. When no one knows what you have, no one is measuring it, and where there is no measuring, there is no quarrel. I have watched families in this valley tear themselves to ribbons over what was in a father's account before that father was cold in the ground. And do you know what the quarrel was truly about? Not the land. It was about who felt owed and who felt small, and money is only the loudest way we keep that score. So I keep my pocket quiet. When my grandsons climb my hill, there is nothing to weigh, nothing to divide in their minds. Only me, the coffee, and the long, slow afternoon. My grandmother used to say, "A closed hand starts no fight." Before the second confession, let me set one small thing down beside you, for I am an old man, and I will not always be here to answer. So I gathered everything my grandparents handed me into one small book, and I call it The Native Way. The book is waiting just below this video. Read one teaching and sit with it overnight, if ever your heart wants it. No pressure at all. I am right here with you whether you ever open it or not. Now, the second confession. What glitters gathers hands. Have you ever noticed how the fattest, shiniest berry on the ridge is the first one stripped bare, while the plain bush nobody looks at twice keeps its fruit clear into winter? I had a neighbor named Eli who bought a shining new truck the year he turned 65, and the asks arrived before his first payment did. A loan here, a favor there, a cousin he had never once met. What did that truck truly cost him? Far more than money. Plain keeps its fruit. The third confession keeps my own children honest, and it is not an easy thing to say. You can always tell when the crows have found the corn. They stop singing and they start circling. Have you ever watched it happen to a family? When the scent of an inheritance drifts into a house, the visits slowly change their shape. The talk turns gentle as smoke toward the land, toward the house, toward what happens when. It is not wickedness, most of the time. It is only what money does to love. It lays a thumb on the scale. Did I want to spend my last good years wondering whether my grandson climbed my hill for my company or for my county deed? No. So I made sure there was nothing on this ridge worth circling. And do you know what happened? They kept coming. When there is no corn in the field, the birds that stay were never crows at all. My grandmother said it plainest. Love that has to be paid for was never love. It was only rent. My daughter still drives the long road up to sit with me, and I know, down in my chest, that she comes for her father and not for a ledger. When she takes my hand, Nothing stands between us. No number, no waiting. Just her hand in mine and the last of the daylight. Tell me, what truck is worth more than that? The fourth confession is freedom, and I feel it in my old bones every morning I wake. Keeping up appearances is a debt, paid every month whether the money is there or not. The new coat, so the church will nod at you. The good car, so the parking lot will respect you. The kitchen torn out and redone because your sister redid hers. I watched good men I grew up with work themselves gray, keeping a face polished for people who did not love them and never would. Can you think of a poorer way to spend a life? My grandfather used to point up the ridge to the old pine standing over all of it. That tree wears no blossoms in spring, he said. It never once puts on a show, and it outlives every flowering tree on the hill. The dogwoods are lovely for a week, and then they are gone. The pine is simply there, plain and green, 100 years running. I decided long ago that I would be the pine. Do you know how light a man walks when he owes the world no performance at all? My mornings are not rented out to anyone's opinion, and so every one of them, to the very last, belongs to me. The fifth confession only shows itself in the cold. Winter is the season that tells you which of your trees are evergreen. In the warm months, every tree is green and every friend is a friend. You cannot tell the oak from the pine when both are heavy with leaves. But let the frost come. Let a man lose his shine, or his standing, or his health, and then watch closely to see what stays green. Here is the quiet gift hidden inside being thought poor. Whoever chooses to sit with a plain man is sitting with the man, because there has never been anything else at that table to sit with. Every friend I made in these late years, I made as a worn-out old fellow in a worn-out coat. So I have never once had to wonder what any of them came for. Can you imagine the peace of that? To reach 86 and know with no doubt anywhere in you that the people at your table are there for you and nothing else? Most rich men die having never known it. They are surrounded, and still they are alone. My grandmother said, "Do not wait for winter to learn which of your trees are evergreen." I found my true friends while I am still warm enough to enjoy them. The sixth confession brings me the most private joy, and I almost do not wish to tell it, which is fitting, since it is a confession all about secrets. Rain does its best work at night. It comes down soft in the dark when not a soul is watching, and by morning the whole field has gone green and nobody saw it happen. That is how a man ought to give, quietly, at full strength, with no name pinned to it. My grandmother had a saying for this: "Wear your blessings under your shirt, where only the Maker can count them." There was a woman we all called Grandmother Weaver. She made plain reed baskets, nothing much to look at, and she carried them into town and came home with them empty. Everyone thought she simply sold baskets. But do you know what quietly left this valley in the bottom of those plain baskets? Which struggling family found their winter rent tucked inside one? No one ever knew, because she never let her right hand tell her left. If the town thought me rich, every gift I gave would arrive with my name stitched to it, and half the good would drain right out. Because they think me poor, my giving belongs to me, and to the dark, and to the rain. And the seventh confession, the one I saved for last, is the whole of it held in a single ember. A fire is for heat, not for show. A young man builds a great roaring blaze, all leaping flame and sparks thrown at the stars, and it is a beautiful thing, and it is cold gray ash by midnight. But the old ones banked their coals down low, buried careful under the ash, and those quiet coals kept the whole lodge warm clean through till morning. Show burns itself out. Warmth banked low lasts the night. And which would you rather be? The blaze that dazzles for an hour, or the coal that carries a house safe to dawn? There was a man here we called Old Man Standing Pine. He dressed his whole life like a hired hand. Patched trousers, a hat gone soft with the years, and folks were kind to him the gentle way you are kind to a man who has nothing. He owned the whole ridge, every last acre. The town only learned the truth of him the day he died, and I am told they wept twice over that grave, once for the loss of a good and quiet man, and once for the shame of it, that they had spent years pitying someone who had, all along, been quietly holding half of them up. I would rather be wept for twice than flattered once. Now let me say something, because I know how all this can sound to a heart that has been hurt. What you heard tonight was never the list of a bitter man. It is not suspicion. It is not fear. It is not a wall I built to keep the world out. It is growth, the slow, quiet growing a man does when he finally stops performing and starts living. I do not lie awake believing everyone is a thief, and I have never once clutched my money to my chest to keep warm. Choosing to look plain was never about mistrust. It was about love and peace and wanting my last years to be true ones. Am I trapped in a poor man's costume? Not for a moment. I could put on the finest coat in the county tomorrow if I wished. I have simply grown into the plain one and found it fits my soul better. This was never a wall. It was a window I opened. So let me gather this all up, the way my grandmother gathered the ends of her shawl before stepping into the wind. 7 confessions. 1. A quiet pocket keeps the peace. 2. What glitters gathers hands, and the plain bush keeps its fruit. 3. A plain man keeps his children honest, coming for the man and not the estate. 4. There is freedom in owing the world no performance, the way the pine owes no blossoms. 5. Winter shows you which of your trees are truly evergreen. 6. Rain does its best work at night, and so does a quiet, giving heart. And 7. A fire is for heat and never for show. Now let me turn it toward your own porch. Are you spending your good years keeping up a face for people who would not sit with you if that face ever came down? Do you know truly which of your friends are evergreen? And what would your peace be worth if no one anywhere were counting what you had? Sit with those questions a while. They are not for me. They are for you. And listen to me now, whoever you are, sitting wherever you happen to be. Maybe, somewhere in your chest, a small voice is asking the very questions I once asked myself. Is it too late for me? Did I let the years slip past, shining myself up for a room that never once loved me? Have I been feeding a fire that gave off only show and no heat? Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me. It is not too late. What have you lost that cannot be set down tomorrow morning? Nothing. Choosing to be plain is not slamming a door on anyone. It is quietly opening one, so the right people can finally find their way in. The real ones are still out there, and I promise you, they are waiting to sit with the man and not the money, if you will only give them a plain enough place to sit. You have far more time than you think, so set the heavy coat down. Come and sit here by the low, warm coals. Now I would truly like to hear from you. Of these 7 confessions, which one hit closest to home? Tell me down in the comments below. I read every single one, slow, with my coffee. So stay a while, sit with me again tomorrow, and we will bank the coals a little lower and talk a little longer. Until then, walk quiet, walk plain, and let the deepest river in you make the very least sound. Good night, my friend.